I think waking up is about being aware. You know, you wake up every morning and you go, oh, it's a day today. And so the waking up is not necessarily maybe as difficult as the staying awake. I think it's hard to stay awake because we become accustomed to things and they're just what we experience every single day. And it's like, oh, okay, beautiful sunrise, okay, whatever. You know, beautiful trees, oh, okay. You know, and I think staying awake calls us to almost reinvent the awakening process every single day. To be able to stay awake, I have to kind of shake myself and go, you know what, this is beautiful. That awakening is about the acknowledgement that life is a special occasion.
I think waking up is what we are experiencing through the practice of silence and contemplation and all these other spiritual disciplines, waking up so that when we look at somebody, we really see them. And this is a very difficult thing. It requires divine intervention. I am particularly poor at it, but it's amazing to look for the person, that the essence of who we really are, absent the ego, beyond the ego.
Waking up is what happened when I sought intimacy with God, because I realized that I was asleep.
For me, waking up is the born again experience that comes on the other side of powerlessness, the other side of surrender. It is truly waking up. It's waking up to who I was always created to be, waking up to who God always was, even if I was told that He was something else. Waking up that, you know, God is love and love is God. And waking up in the sense of, you know, the born again sense of, like, I'm looking around, I'm seeing with new eyes, I'm seeing everything differently. I'm seeing things through the eyes of the Spirit. I'm waking up to creation, I'm waking up to myself, I'm waking up to love. That to me is born again. That's what it means for me to be born again.
Sleeping is a pretty common way of dealing with things. Sort of sleeping as numbing oneself out, which is something you do with chemicals. Sleeping of the kind that we do when we're really depressed, where it's really depressed, sleeping so that we don't pay attention. This lack of attentiveness to life feels often like it's going to be helpful. It never is. I mean, I think quite literally never is. And they sort of, you know, the biblical text is full of metaphors about coming alive, about resurrection, you know, coming out of a state where we can't sense anything into a place where you actually feel things. The Ezekiel text is really good here about God's whole purpose is to take from us our hearts of stone and gives us hearts of flesh. Stone hearts don't care what the environment is. They don't pay attention. They're just there. They feel safe because you can't hurt a stone, right? And a heart of flesh feels like a pretty vulnerable heart. You can hurt that heart. But it's going to be connected with its environment. It's going to be paying attention kind of heart. And that's part of what we're called to. It's part of what we're offered. This opportunity to be the kind of people who are not just constantly dozing off, constantly not there. We know what this looks like in any other kind of relationship. You know, if I'm dozing off in my relationship with my wife, you know, things deteriorate, and something needs to be done. In a relationship with God, I think it's also really easy to doze off. Kind of, certainly if you think you know all the right answers to all the right questions, you know, and that's what constitutes your spiritual life, it's easy to doze off. to go to sleep. It seems like it's achieving something, but it doesn't achieve much of anything. Sleep's really important. There might be some meth addicts watching this. It's really important to emphasize sleep as a spiritual discipline. There is a positive side to sleep. But if sleep is sort of a strategy for not feeling, for not being there, for not showing up, for not paying attention, then it's a real danger for us.
We have moved so far away from making things special, and I'm afraid our busyness has made things mundane. And we find ourselves being blind, I think, to some of the real beauty and the real excitement of a lot of things, because we're too busy to notice it. It's just another kind of it's almost an annoyance or an imposition to stop and realize the special, all the special things that we come in contact with.
How do you stay awake?
I haven't the slightest idea.
It's on the page! Come on!
I don't know how to stay awake. And I think that's the goal. It's like, I think that's the point. We don't know. But maybe we'll give something a try. I'm sorry. Did I disappoint you?
Straight to DVD!
Well, first of all, I don't stay awake. But thinking about some of these spiritual disciplines in a new way, it's almost like I rejected some of the spiritual disciplines because, what, am I just going to do that so God will be proud of me and because then I can be a good Christian? And now I'm looking at it like there really is a less resisted path during the discipline. You're creating for yourself circumstances, alertness for being able to see what God's about to do. And so spiritual discipline for me would be something that is helping me embrace what it would look like to stay awake, at least more often, even though like I said, right now I don't.
Part of my waking up has been realizing how much time I spent in the past. I know others who've told me that they spend so much time in the future, when I acquire this or when I get that. My problem has been living in the past. But to be able to say in the now. When we were traveling to this wonderful place where we're taping this, yesterday we were sitting at lunch and the sun was on my back and the food was good and I was with people I loved and I was like, hold the moment of pure joy. This is pure joy. And I'm not quite sure a few years ago I would have even known to say that. Because in fantasy living, in the world of doing, we think that there's some place we get where we're supposed to have pure joy all the time. It's just not going to happen, so grab the moment.
That's a hard one, because I think we have to tell stories about waking up. There's some things about being in relationship and transparent and slowing down and being connected in really specific ways that wake us up. But it's
you can tell us exactly how it happens.
First of all,
gotta sell this thing, man. What do we do?
It's like art or beauty or music. I can't tell you why it moves me. I can't tell you why when I listen to specific or certain pieces of music, or when I hear my son laughing in the other room, sometimes I cry. Like I'm awake, something wakes me up, and so what we have to do is be given to that. We have to learn how to hear, and we're drawn to it. That's why I think we're carried to love rather than we position ourselves to receive it. I think we have to be carried to it. And I think there's 1,000 ways a day that love wants to carry us. And so I think waking up is realizing the ways that I resist that, the ways that my culture has taught me and has deadened that for me, the way that we're born into it. And I think waking up is becoming unbounded and unbinding those places that keep us separate from love and from each other.